There's something fundamentally toxic about the centerpiece of your modern kitchen. And the appliance industry has known about this for over 50 years. But they buried the research because the truth would destroy their profit margins. Here is a fact that should terrify every parent. Chronic inflammatory diseases have increased 600% since widespread adoption of modern cooking appliances. Autoimmune conditions affect 50 million Americans. Digestive disorders are epidemic, and everyone blames the food itself, but nobody's asking the obvious question. What if it's not what you're cooking, but how you're cooking it? Everyone focuses on organic versus conventional, grass-fed versus grain-fed. But nobody talks about what happens when you apply direct metal heat, electromagnetic radiation, or gas combustion byproducts to your food every single day for decades. Because there is a cooking method used for 300,000 years, from cave fires to colonial hearths that created chemical compounds in food that modern appliances literally cannot replicate. Compounds that reduce inflammation, support detoxification, and protect against the exact diseases plaguing modern society. If you eat clean but still feel inflamed, if your gut health is terrible despite a perfect diet, you're developing food sensitivities seemingly out of nowhere. The answer is not that you need to eat cleaner. The answer is not another elimination protocol. The answer is that your stove gas, electric induction, doesn't matter is creating toxic byproducts and destroying protective compounds with every meal you cook. And this isn't theory. This is documented chemistry that the appliance industry desperately wants you to ignore. Drop a comment right now if you've noticed that home-cooked food somehow doesn't feel as nourishing as it used to, even when you use quality ingredients, because you're not imagining it. So what changed? What did people cooking over open fires in 1700 understand that we've completely forgotten? To answer that, we need to go back to when cooking was done with actual fire, not controlled combustion in a metal box. Picture a colonial kitchen in 1700. No gas range, no electric coils, no glass cooktop. Just a massive stone hearth with real wood fire, iron pots hanging from chains, and food cooking in direct relationship with flame and smoke. This wasn't primitive, it was sophisticated thermal technology that worked with food chemistry rather than against it. Every meal was touched by wood smoke, exposed to radiant heat from coals, and cooked at temperatures that fluctuated naturally. Then came progress. Cast iron stoves in the 1830s, gas stoves in the 1910s, electric ranges in the 1930s. Each innovation promised cleanliness, control, and convenience. And they delivered, but at a cost nobody calculated. By the 1950s, open-fire cooking had been completely eliminated from Western homes. It was considered dangerous, dirty, inefficient. Why would you cook over actual fire when you could turn a dial and get instant regulated heat? Here's why. Because controlled heat and beneficial chemistry are not the same thing. A study from the University of Copenhagen analyzed the chemical composition of foods cooked over wood fire versus modern appliances. The fire-cooked foods contained 40% higher levels of beneficial polyphenols and showed significantly different protein structures, ones that are easier for your body to digest and assimilate. That colonist in 1700 roasting meat over an open hearth. He was creating advanced glycation end products, AGEs, at controlled rates while not simultaneously introducing antimicrobial compounds from wood smoke. He was achieving chemical transformations your $800 induction range cannot reproduce. And here's what really should make you angry. Gas stoves produce nitrogen dioxide, carbon monoxide, and formaldehyde during normal operation. Research from Stanford University found that gas stoves emit benzene, a known carcinogen, when they're turned off. Electric and induction. They avoid the gas problem, but create others. Direct metal to food contact, electromagnetic field exposure. And most critically, cooking temperatures that spike too high, too fast, destroying heat-sensitive nutrients and creating inflammatory compounds. Nobody told you this when you renovated your kitchen. Not the contractor, not the appliance salesman. not the celebrity chef endorsing that brand. They sold you precision and convenience while quietly making every meal less healthy than what your ancestors ate. But to understand why open fire is different, we need to understand the chemistry of cooking at a molecular level. And this is where modern science finally validates what traditional cultures always knew. When you cook food, you're conducting chemistry. Proteins denature, fats oxidize, sugars caramelize. The method of heat application determines whether these reactions create nutrition or inflammation. Modern cooking appliances destroy health in 4 devastating ways. First, toxic combustion byproducts, gas stoves. Natural gas combustion produces nitrogen dioxide at levels that exceed outdoor air quality standards inside your home. A 2022 study in Environmental Science and Technology found that gas stoves increase indoor NO2 concentrations, 2 levels linked to increased childhood asthma by 42%. But it's not just nitrogen dioxide. Incomplete combustion creates carbon monoxide, formaldehyde, and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAs. You're literally breathing carcinogens while cooking dinner. Open wood fires, completely different combustion chemistry. Hardwood burns cleaner than natural gas when used properly. The smoke contains antimicrobial compounds, literally the same compounds that we're used to. Preserve food for millennia because they prevent bacterial growth. Second, direct metal contact and electromagnetic radiation. Electric stoves heat metal coils or elements to extreme temperatures over 900 degrees Fahrenheit on high settings. That metal directly contacts your cookware, creating hot spots that burn food unevenly. Burned food equals acrylamide formation. Acrylamide is a probable human carcinogen. Induction cooking. It uses electromagnetic fields to heat ferromagnetic cookware, while the industry claims it's safe. Independent research shows that electromagnetic field EMF exposure from induction cooking exceeds recommended safety limits when you stand at typical cooking distance. A Swiss study found that induction cooktops can generate EMF levels up to 50% higher than international guidelines. For general public exposure you re-expose to this multiple times daily. Open fire creates radiant heat from coals and convection from flame. No electromagnetic radiation. No superheated metal surfaces. Just infrared heat that penetrates food evenly, the same way the sun warms your skin. Third, temperature control paradox. Modern stoves give you precise temperature control, and that's actually the problem. Steady, high heat destroys nutrients. Vitamin C begins degrading at 190 degrees Fahrenheit. B vitamins break down above 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Beneficial enzymes denature at similar temperatures. Modern recipes assume constant high heat because that's what modern stoves provide. You're systematically destroying nutrients by following instructions designed for appliances, not for nutrition. Open fire. The temperature fluctuates naturally. Coals build heat gradually, peak, then fade. Food spends time at various temperatures, which preserves different nutrients throughout the cooking process. It's variable heat exposure that our digestive systems evolved to process. Fourth, the Maillard reaction done wrong. The Maillard reaction is that beautiful browning that creates flavor, but it also creates compounds that can be either beneficial or inflammatory depending on how it happens. Slow, moderate Maillard reaction over wood fire creates antioxidant compounds, enhances bioavailability of certain amino acids, produces melanoidins that have prebiotic effects supporting gut bacteria. Fast, high-heat Maillard reaction on modern stoves creates heterocyclic amines HCAs and advanced glycation end products AGEs that promote inflammation, oxidative stress, and are linked to cancer and cardiovascular disease. Research from the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry found that meat cooked slowly over wood coals had 75% fewer inflammatory AGEs compared to the same meat cooked on a gas grill or electric stove at high heat. Same meat, different cooking method. completely different health outcome. The smoke factor. Here's what almost nobody understands. Wood smoke isn't just flavoring. It contains hundreds of bioactive compounds. Guaiacol, syringal, and other phenolic compounds have antimicrobial and antioxidant properties. Traditional smoke cooking wasn't just preservation, it was nutrition enhancement. Studies on traditional smoke-dried fish show that beneficial omega-3 fatty acids are actually protected by smoke compounds that prevent oxidation. Your modern stove. Zero beneficial compounds. Just heat, and in the case of gas, actual toxins. I know this sounds extreme, but here's the simple truth. We took a cooking method refined over 300,000 years of human evolution and replaced it with appliances designed by engineers who never studied nutritional biochemistry. But don't just take my word for it. The evidence is in populations that still cook the traditional way. Let me show you something the appliance industry absolutely does not want discussed. Traditional cultures still using open-fire cooking have dramatically lower rates of inflammatory diseases compared to modernized populations eating similar diets. A longitudinal study in rural Peru found that villages that transitioned from open-fire cooking to gas stoves saw a 35% increase in its respiratory and inflammatory conditions within one generation, improvements in housing and sanitation. The researchers expected modernization to improve health. Instead, they documented the opposite. The Hadza in Tanzania still cook over open fires. Their gut microbiome diversity is 40% higher than the average American. Research suggests that low-level smoke exposure and the specific compounds created by fire cooking actually support beneficial bacteria. In Sardinia, one of the blue zones where people live longest, many households still cook in traditional wood-fired ovens. A comparative study found that Sardinians using wood ovens had significantly lower markers of systemic inflammation. C-reactive protein compared to Sardinians who had switched to modern stoves. Same genetics, same base diet. Different cooking method, different inflammatory status. Japanese researchers studied centenarians and found that many still use traditional irori sunken hearths with open charcoal fires. These individuals showed remarkably preserved digestive function and lower incidence of food allergies, compared to younger generations using modern cooking appliances. But here's the study that really proves the point. Researchers at the University of Barcelona took identical Mediterranean diet meals and prepared them to ways over wood fire and on modern stoves. They fed both versions to participants and measured inflammatory markers, nutrient absorption, and gut microbiome changes. Wood-fire cooked meals reduced inflammation markers by 23%. Increased polyphenol absorption by 31%, supported beneficial bacteria populations. Modern stove-cooked meals, minimal changes or slight increases in inflammatory markers, standard nutrient absorption, no microbiome benefits. Identical ingredients, different cooking method. Completely different biological impact. Now, the appliance industry will tell you their products are safe and tested. They'll point to certifications and safety standards. But here's what they won't tell you. Those standards test for acute toxicity and immediate safety hazards. Nobody studied the cumulative effect of cooking every meal for 50 years with gas combustion, byproducts, or electromagnetic radiation exposure. Nobody compared long-term health outcomes between open fire and appliance cooking. We're the experiment, and the results are in. We're more inflamed, more diseased, and less nourished than generations who cooked over actual fire. But this raises the obvious question. If open fire cooking was so superior, why did we abandon it? The answer reveals everything about how safety theater replaced actual health. The elimination of open fire cooking wasn't about health, it was about fire insurance rates, urban housing density, and appliance company profits. In the late 1800s, cities were growing rapidly. Wood and coal fires in dense housing created legitimate fire risks. Insurance companies pressured for safer alternatives. Appliance manufacturers seized the opportunity. They marketed enclosed stoves as modern, clean, and safe. Magazine ads showed soot-covered women laboring over hearths, then the same women pristine and smiling with gas ranges. The message: open fire is dangerous drudgery. Modern stoves are liberation. By the 1920s and 30s, building codes in most American cities explicitly banned open hearths in new construction. You legally could not build a house with traditional cooking methods, even if you wanted to. And here's the business model that sealed fire cooking's death: appliances break. They need replacing. Gas requires ongoing utility payments. Wood fire: free fuel if you have access to trees, and a well-built hearth lasts centuries. The appliance industry couldn't profit from something that costs nothing to operate and never needs replacing. The final nail came with convenience marketing in the 1950s-70s. Cooking over fire was portrayed as primitive, time-consuming, impractical for modern life. Home economics classes funded by utility companies and appliance manufacturers taught that temperature control and convenience were paramount. An entire generation learned that precise heat control meant better cooking. Nobody taught that better cooking meant better health outcomes, not just convenience. This isn't your fault. You were given building codes, insurance requirements, and social narratives that made open-fire cooking literally impossible in most modern contexts. And now, if you suggest that cooking over wood fire might be healthier, people think you're romanticizing the past or rejecting modernity. The industry didn't just remove hearths from our homes. They removed the concept that cooking method impacts health as much as ingredients. But here's the good news: you don't need to move to a cabin in the woods. There are practical ways to bring fire cooking principles into modern life. If this is making sense, hit that like button and subscribe. This information threatens multiple billion-dollar industries, so it needs your help to spread. So what do you actually do? How do you access fire cooking benefits without burning down your apartment or violating fire codes? Step 1. Outdoor cooking becomes regular, not occasional. If you have any outdoor space, backyard, patio, even a balcony where grills are allowed, start cooking over real fire regularly. Not just summer barbecues, year-round. Get a quality wood-burning grill or build a simple fire pit with a great use hardwood, oak, hickory, maple knot-treated lumber, or charcoal briquettes with chemical additives. Aim for at least 3 to 5 meals per week cooked over actual wood fire. This significantly reduces your toxic exposure from gas stoves and gives you the beneficial smoke compounds your body recognizes. Step 2. Indoor fire alternatives. If you're building or renovating, consider installing a wood-fired cookstove or a modern masonry heater with cooking surface. These are legal in most jurisdictions, EPA approved for emissions, and provide radiant heat for your home. Companies like Essie and Heartland make modern wood cookstoves that meet safety standards while providing real fire cooking. Step 3. If you're stuck with modern stoves, if outdoor cooking isn't possible and you can't install a wood stove, at least optimize your modern appliance use. For gas stoves, always use the exhaust hood on highest setting. Open windows while cooking. Consider installing an additional air purifier in the kitchen. And seriously consider switching to electric or induction if you're in a position to upgrade. For electric induction, use lower heat settings and longer cooking times. This reduces age formation and nutrient destruction. Cast iron or carbon steel cookware creates some of the benefits of radiant heat cooking. Never cook on high heat unless absolutely necessary. Most recipes can be adapted to medium or medium-low with slightly longer times. Step 4. Supplement fire cooking benefits. Use smoke as a nutrient, not just flavor. Get a small stovetop smoker or smoking gun for indoor use. Even brief exposure to wood smoke from applewood or cherrywood chips can introduce beneficial phenolic compounds. This isn't the same as full fire cooking, but it's better than nothing. Step 5. Prioritize fire-cooked foods when eating out. Choose restaurants that use wood-fired ovens, grills, or smokers. Pizza from a wood oven, barbecue from actual wood smokers, bread from wood-fired bakeries. These foods contain the compounds you're missing from home cooking on modern appliances. But wood smoke causes cancer. That's what the appliance industry wants you to believe. The research showing smoke dangers is almost entirely based on chronic exposure to cigarette smoke or industrial smoke pollution, not food cooking smoke from clean hardwood. Controlled wood fire cooking produces beneficial compounds. Cigarette smoke and burning trash produce toxins. They're not the same thing. I don't have time for fire cooking. Then you're choosing convenience over health. That's for needs, your decision. But stop wondering why you re-inflamed when you literally cooking with toxic byproducts or destroying nutrients with excessive heat every single day. This isn't practical for modern life. Millions of people worldwide still cook with fire daily. It's practical if you make it a priority. If you can spend 45 minutes on social media, you can spend 45 minutes cooking over actual fire. Imagine this. A year from now, you're cooking dinner outside over a wood fire 3 times a week. Your chronic inflammation markers have improved. Your digestion is better. Food tastes richer, more satisfying. Your energy is different, more stable, more vital. That's not fantasy. That's just your body receiving food prepared in a way it actually evolved to process. People in 1700 didn't have nutrition science. They didn't understand ages or polyphenols or EMF exposure. But they had something we lost: a direct, unmediated relationship with fire, the element that literally made us human. We don't need to reject all modern tools. We just need to stop assuming that newer always means healthier. Your inflammation is trying to tell you something. Maybe it's time to listen. Drop a comment. Do you have access to outdoor cooking? Are you willing to make fire cooking a regular practice? Or does this sound completely impractical? I want honest feedback. And if you want me to create a full guide on safe, practical fire cooking for modern homes, including building codes, equipment, and techniques, let me know. If this video hits 10,000 likes, that's my next topic. The health you're researching for in supplements and elimination diets might be waiting in the oldest cooking method known to humanity. Fire made us human. Maybe it's time we remembered how to use it.